Jungkook effect explodes in Mexico City, sold out in 37 minutes. Is band Si-hyuk deliberately overheating the market? What really happened in Mexico City on January 25th, 2026? Was it merely another record-breaking ticket sale by the world's biggest K-pop group? Or was it something far more calculated, far more emotional, and far more controversial than anyone expected? When more than 1 million people stormed a virtual queue and every single ticket for BTS's Arirang world tour disappeared in just 37 minutes, one question began echoing louder than the cheers themselves. Was this the ultimate proof of the Jungkook effect? And if so, who lit the fuse? From the outside, the story seems simple. BTS announced Mexico City as a stop on their long-awaited world tour, their first full-scale collective tour since completing mandatory military service. The response was explosive. According to Ticketmaster data cited by allkpop.com, approximately 1.1 million users entered the virtual queue simultaneously, competing for seats at Estadio GNP Seguros across 3 nights. Within 37 minutes, the entire inventory was gone. Pre-sale access for official fan club members reached full capacity in less than an hour. On paper, this was history being made. But beneath the numbers, beneath the headlines celebrating another sold out, something more volatile was brewing. Why Mexico City? Why now? And why? According to fans tracking global search trends and queue data in real time, did one name keep appearing more than any other? Jungkook. In fan communities across X, TikTok, Weverse, and Discord, screenshots circulated rapidly during the ticketing chaos. Users claimed that the most frequently displayed keywords in global queue analytics, trending posts, and even resale listings were not BTS or Arirang, but Jungkook BTS Mexico. For many ARMY, this was not a coincidence. It was confirmation of what they had been feeling for months, even years, that Jungkook's individual star power had reached a level capable of bending entire markets on its own. The so-called Jungkook effect is not a new concept. Industry analysts have previously noted spikes in brand value, streaming numbers, and merchandise sales linked directly to Jungkook's solo activities. But Mexico City felt different. This was not about music videos or fashion campaigns. This was about infrastructure breaking under pressure. This was about ticketing systems buckling. This was about fans being locked out while resale prices skyrocketed to levels that felt almost surreal. And inevitably, the conversation shifted upward, toward HYB, toward Live Nation, and most controversially, toward Bang Si-hyuk himself. Was this simply an unavoidable consequence of overwhelming demand? Or did HYB intentionally concentrate global promotional energy around Jungkook to maximize attention, engagement, and urgency, fully aware that the ticketing system might not withstand the resulting surge? Ticketmaster's own spokesperson described the Mexico City sale as one of the most intense and high-demand ticketing events in the recent history of Mexico's live music industry, according to allkpop.com. Demand did not originate solely from local fans. Data showed participation from more than 1,300 cities worldwide, including Lima, Bogota, Santiago, California, and Texas. This was not just a national event. It was global migration in digital form, converging on a single city, a single stadium, a single tour. Mexico City's inclusion in the Arirang World Tour marked a symbolic shift. Long considered a passionate but underserved market for K-pop, the city suddenly stood at the center of the global touring map. Estadio GNP Seguros was no longer just another venue. It was being recognized as a critical stop for top-tier international artists, a status reinforced by the sheer speed and scale of the sellout. For Mexico, this was validation. For BTS, it was domination. But for fans trapped in endless loading screens, it was devastation. AS celebration posts flooded social media. So did anger. ARMY from Mexico, Korea, and beyond began sharing stories of being pushed out of the queue, of seeing tickets vanish instantly, of being redirected to resale platforms where prices had multiplied beyond comprehension. According to posts highlighted by allkpop.com, some resale tickets originally priced at around $98 were being listed for up to $2,015, nearly 30 times the original value. Other listings reportedly reached prices equivalent to tens of millions of Korean won, translating into hundreds of millions of Indonesian rupiah. One post from ex-user at BeautifulSoulB7 went viral, accusing Ticketmaster of allowing tickets to fall into the hands of resellers before genuine fans could access them. The post amassed thousands of likes and reposts, becoming a rallying point for widespread frustration. Another user, at Remin_D, amplified similar accusations, calling for accountability not just from Ticketmaster Osisa, but from HYBE and Live Nation as well. The implication was clear. This was not just a technical failure, but a systemic one. Petitions soon followed. A changed org campaign demanding the removal of Ticketmaster Osisa from ticket sales in Mexico gained traction, fueled by screenshots of inflated resale prices and testimonies from fans who never even saw the purchase button. The emotional tone of these appeals was striking. This was not casual disappointment. This was heartbreak, anger, and a sense of betrayal from fans who had waited years for BTS's return. Yet, even amid the backlash, the scale of BTS's cultural and economic impact could not be ignored. Research from the Hyundai Research Institute, cited by allkpop.com, has long suggested a direct correlation between BTS's global recognition and surges in Korean consumer exports, including cosmetics and food products. Experts estimate that each concert could generate up to 1 trillion KRW in economic value when accounting for tourism, accommodation, transportation, and related spending by international fans. Mexico City, already a tourism powerhouse, was poised to feel this ripple effect intensely. Hotels reported spikes in bookings. Airlines noted increased traffic from South America and the United States. Local businesses prepared for an influx of international army. On a macro level, the Arirang tour was not just a musical event. It was an economic engine, a cultural movement, and a statement of post-military resurgence. Ticketmaster itself framed BTS's success in ideological terms, stating that the group was redefining the modern music industry through messages of positivity and inclusivity, forging deep emotional bonds with Mexican fans. And this emotional bond is precisely what makes the controversy so charged. Because when fans feel emotionally invested, exclusion does not feel like bad luck. It feels personal. The return of BTS as a full group after military service added another layer of intensity. This was not just another tour. It was a reunion, a long-delayed collective moment that fans had imagined, saved for, and emotionally prepared themselves to experience. The pre-order numbers for BTS's fifth album, also titled Arirang, underscored this anticipation. Surpassing 4 million copies in just 1 week, the album's performance reinforced the idea that BTS's demand had not cooled during hiatus. If anything, it had become more concentrated, more explosive. And within that explosion, Jungkook stood at the epicenter. Industry observers noted that global media coverage leading up to the tour heavily emphasized Jungkook's recent activities, visuals, and international appeal. While BTS has always functioned as a collective, fans began to question whether HYBE's promotional strategy had subtly shifted, using Jungkook as the primary hook to ignite global interest. Was this smart marketing, leveraging the member with the widest mainstream recognition, or was it a risky gamble that prioritized maximum hype over logistical readiness? Si-hyuk's name inevitably entered the discussion. As HYBE's founder and a central architect of BTS's global strategy, he has long been praised for visionary thinking. But vision cuts both ways. Some fans accused him of intentionally heating up the market, concentrating attention so intensely that systems would break, headlines would explode, and demand would become a story in itself. In this interpretation, the chaos was not a failure. It was proof of power. Others rejected this view as unfair, arguing that no ticketing infrastructure could realistically withstand over 1 million simultaneous users. They pointed out that similar controversies have plagued major tours by Western artists, from Taylor Swift to Bad Bunny. Yet, even among these voices, there was acknowledgement that something felt different about Mexico City. The scale, the speed, the emotional fallout all seemed amplified. AS Mexico cements its position as the most vital K-pop concert market in Latin America, Analysts predict that the impact seen in Mexico City will ripple across other tour stops. Cities are watching. Promoters are watching. Ticketing platforms are watching. The question is whether lessons will be learned, or whether the same cycle will repeat, fueled by ever-growing global demand. What does the Mexico City sellout ultimately represent? A triumphant return, a cultural milestone, an economic windfall, or a warning sign? Is the Jungkook effect an organic reflection of fan love, or a force so powerful that it requires new rules, new systems, and new accountability? And perhaps most provocatively, did HYBE knowingly push the limits, accepting fan frustration as collateral damage in exchange for historic headlines? As the era rang, world tour moves forward, these questions will not disappear. They will follow BTS from city to city, echoed in queues, in hashtags, in resale listings, and in the hearts of fans who are still asking themselves whether witnessing history should hurt this much. And yet, the story in Mexico City refuses to settle into a single narrative. Even as outrage continues to simmer, another question keeps surfacing among industry insiders and fans alike. What if this moment was never meant to be comfortable? What if discomfort, scarcity, and emotional overload are now inseparable from the modern megatour experience, especially when the artist at the center is someone like Jungkook? In the hours following the sellout, data analysts within fan communities began dissecting everything. Timestamps of queue entry, regional access speeds, pre-sale allocation ratios, and the sudden appearance of bulk resale listings were all scrutinized in real time. What emerged was not just anger, but a pattern that many fans felt pointed towards structural favoritism. They noticed that resale tickets appeared almost instantly, often in large quantities, while verified fan accounts were still trapped behind error messages. This discrepancy fueled a darker suspicion that demand was not merely overwhelming, but strategically unmanaged. And here, the narrative sharpens. Because if the Jungkook effect truly is as powerful as Mexico City suggests, then responsibility cannot rest solely on fans' passion. Power, after all, demands foresight. Jungkook's name trending globally during the ticketing window was not incidental. Search analytics showed spikes that coincided precisely with queue openings, suggesting that many users were not simply searching for BTS, but specifically for Jungkook-related content tied to the Mexico City shows. For some observers, this reinforced the idea that Jungkook had become the primary emotional entry point for casual global audiences, those who might not identify as long-term ARMY but are drawn by his individual aura, visuals, and crossover appeal. This is where the accusation against Bang Si-hyuk becomes particularly loaded. Fans are not accusing him of favoritism in the traditional sense. Rather, they are questioning strategic intent. Did HYBE, fully aware of Jungkook's unparalleled pull, design a promotional environment that would maximize urgency and global attention, even if it meant exposing weaknesses in ticketing infrastructure? Did the company underestimate the scale of the response? Or did it knowingly accept chaos as the price of cultural dominance? From a business perspective, the argument is unsettling but not irrational. Scarcity drives headlines. Headlines drive perception. Perception drives long-term brand power. A tour that sells out in days is impressive. A tour that sells out in 37 minutes with over 1 million people locked out becomes legend. And legends, in the entertainment industry, are currency. But legends also leave casualties. For many Mexican fans, this was not an abstract debate about strategy. It was the culmination of years of waiting. BTS had not toured Mexico City at this scale before, and the announcement felt like recognition, like validation of Latin America's loyalty. When that promise dissolved into spinning wheels and resale shock, the emotional whiplash was severe. Fans described crying in internet cafes, refreshing browsers at work, staying awake through the night only to be told that tickets were gone before they ever had a chance. The emotional weight of these stories complicates any attempt to frame the event purely as success. Because success, in this context, came at a cost that was disproportionately borne by the very community that built BTS's global stature. Still, the global industry watched in awe. Executives from touring companies reportedly cited the Mexico City sale as evidence that Latin America is no longer a secondary market, but a central pillar of global touring strategy. Estadio GNP Seguros, now associated with one of the fastest sellouts in K-pop history, has effectively rebranded itself overnight. The venue is no longer just hosting